graduation, I, much to my delight, and actually more delight for my parents, got my first in-person professional job interview. But in order to get to Anderson, South Carolina, it took a 3-hour drive from northern Missouri to Kansas City in order to get on a flight. And that flight was very early in the morning in the midst of the school year. The morning I was supposed to leave, both I and the friend who was going to take me to the airport overslept. After a mad dash out of the house, we tested the speed limit of my 1985 Chevy Celebrity, broke multiple laws for me to make my flight on time. Thank God there wasn't like TSA at that point. That's the only way to survive. Flying from 40 degrees in Kirksville, Missouri to an 80-degree early April day in Greenville, South Carolina meant I was already sweltering by the time I got off the plane and into the terminal to meet Randy Beard, who was the Anderson sports editor at the time. Him standing at the gate, holding an Anderson Independent Mail in his hand, not knowing me from any other person that got off the plane. How very James Bond espionage, I thought. Driving back to Anderson with Randy, we were supposed to first go to my hotel, which I was very thankful for because I needed to check in, I needed to get a shower, I needed to get into my clothes. This was my first presentable moment, and I was ready to kill it. But not too long after we got on Interstate 85, Randy informed me that we were going straight to the newspaper to meet the publisher and everyone else. My internal panic meter was pegged. Baseball hat, disheveled, sweated through long sleeve shirt, and jeans, which, oh by the way, I had also worn the entire day before because I got grabbed those clothes off the floor as I was running out the door. That's a first impression. Me at 21 thinks the next part was calm, cool, and collected. Me at 51 is certain it was not. Either way, I reached into the middle row of his minivan, opened my bag, opened my bathroom kit, pulled out an electric razor, turned back around, pulled down the sun visor, and started shaving in the car while I was talking to him. We got to the newsroom. The news editor is clearly taken aback by me, and not just because I was wearing a Florida Marlins hat in Braves country. This was a full-dress newsroom. Every man in a shirt and tie, every woman in a dress. After introductions and sitting through the newsroom budget meeting, the executive editor took me to his office and offered me a Diet Coke. T. Wayne Mitchell, wherever you are, you saved my life. I did well in the interview. I did not get the job. But a week later, Randy called me again. The other guy was out. Did I want the job? I said yes. A decade later, in May of 2005, I walked to the first tee at Augusta National Golf Club in the midst of a war. You see, my driver and my 3-wood and I hate each other, and have for decades. The 3-wood had already been banished to my closet at my house. The driver was only in the bag so I could use it for the 2-club-length drop when I hit the ball in the water. I've been playing nothing but irons and a putter for nearly a year. Glenn Greenspan was the media relations director for the Masters at that point, and he was flabbergasted and a bit offended when I told him this on the first tee. No one hits iron off the first tee at Augusta National this year. So out of respect to Glenn, I took out the driver on the opening hole, and I proceeded to hit my ball about 60 yards, 45 degrees to the left into the 9th fairway. Glenn looks at me and says, "Hit the 3-iron, Dan." I shot 81. I was the first person to lose in the famous car park lottery at Bethpage Black, the first year they held the US Open. Ron Sirac, the legendary golf writer, wrote a front page story for the Hartford Courant about me and my roommate who lost out. The red course, by the way, is fantastic. I ran my first marathon after I lost a bet with my best friend. I ran the second because I knew I had mailed in the first one. The other 13 after that are completely my fault. When I finally decided to run for APSE office as 3rd vice president, I lost. Then Justin Bellatier big-timed us, we went to the Boston Herald, and I was asked to take his place. When I ran for 2nd vice president the first time, I lost to George Rojas. I ran again, and here I am. I tell you these stories because I've rarely been the first or the best. My methods might seem a little unorthodox. I do things differently. But I haven't given up, and being proud of who I am and how I do things turned out to serve me well once I fully embraced them all. Over the past 14 months, my job has put me in front of dozens of reporters and editors in big towns and small cities across the country. Grizzled veterans to 21-year-olds right out of college. They are amazing people. The knowledge they've shared with me in that short amount of time has gone far beyond my expectations. I always knew it, but talking to them proved to me that far too many people in our industry have been abandoned in recent years. It's not the fault of anybody in this room, it's merely the truth we live in. I heard the stories firsthand that have led to too many episodes of burnout, being tired all the time, of having that notion that you have to do everything. Worst of all, they felt alone. And that's a feeling I know far too well. 2 years ago, I said you should vote for me as second vice president of this organization because of my belief in togetherness and how we as editors must help our teams create good headspace to succeed. Because that was how I found my strength professionally, even though I wasn't there personally yet. In Anderson, I grew up among a newsroom of young journalists, given wide latitude to experiment, fail, and succeed. 3, 4, 5 in the morning, sometimes later, talking about life, being on our own for the first time, while doing amazing work in tough moments, including racing back to the press in the back of the building and yelling, "Stop the press," because of the Atlanta Olympic bombing. Yes, I actually had to do that. In Hagerstown, Maryland, I was molded by older coworkers who had relentless, sharp wit and forced me to be prepared for any moment. Bob Parcelletti, Mark Keller, Al Ditzel were relentless. They were so good at their jobs. They taught me how to be a pro. That was where my boss, a man named Ron Summers, hoodwinked our poor clerk into believing the agate page was actually from the Italian word agate, which meant little tongue. In Augusta, I learned planning can't start early enough, and that ideas should flow like the parking lot drinks on a Sunday night at the Masters after the final edition is put to bed. John Boyett was the sports editor there for a long time. He ran the show with self-deprecating humor and an unparalleled knowledge base. And John Gotrick, the managing editor, was his natural foil. In Wilmington, I was finally tasked with calling a team my own. I hoped I took the best from all of those unconventional places and people and let my reporters grow, learn, and tell stories in an atmosphere where everyone's opinion was valid, but boy, you better be quick with the comeback. During my time as third vice president, when we had the Google Hangouts, it made me remember how great any organization can be when it works together. And in this moment, we as sports journalists need that more than ever. We've been knocked down by things out of our control. We've tripped ourselves a time or two as well. We have to get up. We have to know what we'll do differently the next time. And I hope that what you've learned this week is the first step in that process. Yet once we walk out of these doors, maintaining that feeling of togetherness is difficult. We're spread out by more than 3,000 miles. We're worried about more people and places than we have before. We, this core group of editors, reporters, friends of journalism, we persevere together, but how will we truly grow as an organization? How do we dynamically show people what we do? That we are far more than contest announcements and Zoom meetings. How do we tell people, APSE makes me great at my job, and tell them boldly and at every opportunity? I have some ideas. I know all of you do too. I've already asked for them, and you've given them to me. And I need you to share more. I need you to talk with me, and Paul, and Perrin, and Tony, and Nyla, and Lisa, the foundation. The great news is, though, that we have the biggest podium that we've probably ever had over the next 4 years in which to do it. The efforts of people in this room will be seen around the world. What we do and how we tell people we did it can define us as an organization. We have Summer Olympics in a month. In 2 years, we have a North American World Cup. Another Summer Olympics in our country 2 years after that. God bless you. Good luck, Ileana. We have a college athletics landscape that will look nothing like it does today. The exponential growth of women's sports will continue. The demand for sports journalism is about to hit critical mass. Following the money, opening our industry to everyone. It is all coming. Are we ready? Will we be proud of the stories we share, names we put in headlines, the truths we tell. And that's where the personal part comes in for me. Because for all of those good things that professionally over the years have come together with my coworkers, the truth for me was not fully being told. I was alone as a gay man who got comfortable in the closet for too long. Telling my story came slowly and hesitantly. I can remember meeting my first fellow gay sports writer nearly 25 years ago. We were excited and terrified. We lived in rural, conservative parts of the country. We wondered, what if someone outed us? Would we lose our jobs? Would we be arrested because we worked with male high school students? We commiserated over everything, of how unsure we were about everything, even though we both loved what we did for a living. Those conversations have never left me. In fact, I still worry today about the things that could happen to a young gay sports writer in certain parts of this country. I took my closet door off its final brackets 18 months ago. 30-some years is a long time for a process, but sometimes that's how long it takes. Apparently, I'm the first out LGBTQ plus president of our organization. I both believe it, and I'm also completely surprised that it's me. I hope that I can use this space to be a role model, like other queer editors and reporters from the present past, people I've read and admired, people that have done far more than I to defend those in the margins, and done things their way proudly. In this Pride Month, I hope they see that I am ready to carry that torch. In accepting the Jack Burnham Award yesterday, Bill Eichenberger said that APSE was his tribe. I too am proud that APSE is part of my tribe. It's also part of a personal tribe that is finally full. I have been thankful for so long to be a member of this organization. You all have inspired me, pushed me, and given me knowledge. You're trusting me with a role, and I understand just how true a privilege this is. Thank you all very much.